Yeah, if you wanna roll in closer, please come on up. Yeah, man. Don't hesitate to come by.
I need a fireplace. There needs to be a fireplace behind you.
Fireplace. All right, well, welcome everybody. Another fireside chat with the wonderful and marvelous Miss Ruth Reffkin. So happy to have it. Give her a nice round of applause. Because of you, we're here today. Hallelujah. So Ruth, we've got some new people in the room today. Why don't you go ahead and just give us a little elevator pitch of who you are and what you do.
Who am I?
Who are you?
I'm Ruth Reffkin. I'm Robert Reffkin's mother. I'm also a real estate agent, and actually I was an agent for quite a few years before Robert decided to start Compass. So I've been around for a while, but I didn't join Compass until around 9 years ago now.
9 years.
2016.
Yeah.
November.
Yeah.
Well, actually, my start date was officially July, because I decided to use my birth date. That's why I always remember.
Okay.
But it was a little bit before the fall that I really got started. And of course, loving Compass. And I'm also the founder and currently the president of Compass Plus, which is our division serving seniors. And that's something I'd love to talk about a little bit.
Sure.
And I'm on the Steve Halpern team in New York. And we work throughout the city. My focus is Manhattan, which is where I grew up, spent most of my life.
Yes.
So I know it like the back of my hand, which is changing with all these age spots. I just turned 80 this year. I just had my 80th birthday, and I work more than full time and love it, so you can't get rid of me yet.
That's right.
Wow. And also, if people are interested, I was just at an interesting court proceeding a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, about what? Any court proceeding we've heard of?
Yeah, we call them Godzilla in New York.
Godzilla.
I don't know what you guys call them.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting what's happening.
Yes,
the
I
news
know,
has been
yeah.
really positive toward us. So.
Yeah, well, if you want to hear a little bit about what happened in court.
Well, why don't we jump in on that? Tell us
You
more
were
about
interested in
Godzilla.
Well, so it was a very tense few days in court in downtown Manhattan. What was wonderful was the support we got from Compass agents, who had a whole section of people sitting behind us. We felt that this court proceeding was about an injunction. So the actual trial for what we're suing Zillow for is going to take a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Compass is saying, meanwhile, they're hurting us.
Yes.
So we want an injunction against the ban.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's the topic. And we should be hearing within a few months about that injunction. So the judge rules on this is not a jury situation. And generally what the judge's perspective would be is to grant an injunction if it looks like we have a likelihood of succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't grant an injunction for a frivolous case, but if you think, gee, they could succeed, and meanwhile these people are harming them, then you grant the injunction. So it was a very important session, and we felt pretty good about how, first of all, about how our case were presented. We really have wonderful attorneys. But also based on the judge's questions, because she was asking questions as she went along to clarify things, we felt that she was getting it, that she understood what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Zillow's side, I felt, I'm a little prejudiced about this, so I wouldn't claim to be impartial, but I think a lot of us felt that Zillow's kind of flailing around trying to claim, like for instance, they're claiming they did no harm to us because we're doing well.
Right.
Basically, that's what we say. Compass had a great quarter, so we didn't hurt you. So of course we're saying, in spite of you, we did well. you
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we working. It's not like we're sitting around doing nothing. So, but they're trying to frame their perspectives that they're the ones who are being transparent and offering everybody, like we're trying to hoard, listings and keep things secret, and they want the open marketplace to, and obviously we're saying that that's ingenuous, and that we're trying to give choice to our clientele, which we are. So it was interesting. Like I said, the judge asked some really interesting questions, and we felt she was intelligent and got what the issues were. No way of knowing how she'll rule, of course, but I was there when Robert testified and was the cross-examination, and just like you see it on TV, it gets kind of hairy. I mean, I think they had to tie me down to keep me from attacking the opposing counsel.
Yeah,
you can't talk to my son that way, you know. But it was interesting because she actually had nothing substantive to cross-examine him on, so they would just try and pull these emails, and say the emails that he didn't write that were written to him.
Sure.
And so trying to make him responsible for the content of those emails. And so he'd say something like, I've never seen this email, I don't have any recollection. And so she'd badger him, and the judge would say, he's answered it already. And there was a point in which there was an email with something in it where he said, that information is incorrect. Well, didn't you receive this email? And he said, I don't know, but I'm just telling you, that's incorrect. That much I can say, you know. And I mean, Robert received some emails in a year, you know, maybe more than 1 and 2. You say, how could you expect? And again, she was really badgering him, and I was like, stop badgering myself. But but the judge said, stop badgering him. And so, you know, we felt like she was really getting it, and so we feel pretty hopeful about things.
Yeah.
I think it's really important as agents that we communicate to our clients what's going on, and have them understand that we are fighting for their right to have us market their properties the way they want to. And that Zillow is really being very punitive with these bans. Oh, one of the things that came out, and I don't know if any of you guys read any of the articles about what happened in court, but it really came out that, because just like they were able to do the discovery of our emails, we did of theirs. And that they literally were talking about using the hammer to impose their ban, and being very punitive. I mean, they stated clearly that this is a punitive measure to put people in line because their business model depends on us, you know, following their business model, which we don't have to do because we're not them. It was interesting also because they, you know, it was also around, you know, we just had this big anywhere, you know, I'm not sure what we're calling it now. We're calling it a merger? I don't think it's a merger.
Not yet. We're working on it.
This marriage of some kind. So again, they're trying to make it as if, well, we couldn't be hurting you because this happened. You've just gotten that much bigger, but it's really a non sequitur. One has nothing to do with the other. And I will say one thing. I don't know how you guys hear it down here, but I have agents from other companies just coming up to me sometimes in New York, you know, and saying, we want you to tell your son that thank you, because we know he's fighting for all of us. Because he's really not just fighting for Compass, he's fighting for our industry. And one way I look at it is, when was the last time you used a travel agent? And that industry was destroyed by the Zillow of the travel agency,
Yes.
right? Travel industry, just a whole profession was wiped out. And that's what they're trying to do to us. They really are. But, you know, travel can be a complicated transaction. It's nothing like what we do. I mean, what we do is such a complicated and such a sophisticated transaction with so many moving parts. You can't just do it online, you know. And the whole idea of a Zestimate, which is ridiculous. I mean, you have to go. Do you value things without seeing them just by being given their address? Because if so, then you should be just with Zillow, because that's how they do it. And when we think about, you know, you guys have apartments here too in New York. Almost all my sales are apartments. And, you know, you give me an apartment, a 2-bedroom, with the same number of square feet in the same building, 2 of them, are they worth the same? No. What's the view like? What's the condition like? This one's next to the garbage disposal, another one's facing the river, you know, but they don't have any of that information. So I think it's a real education job we have to continue doing with our clients. and with other agents as well, because though we are in competition with other agents, we are in the same boat. And if that boat sinks, we're all going to sink.
Mm-hmm.
And I find sometimes agents it's good to be competitive, it's good to want to be successful, but I think sometimes agents kind of cut off their nose to spite their face sometimes, and having friendships across different companies and being collegial is always the right way to go. So,
absolutely. We saw a great change in Robert through this whole Zillow journey. I mean, talk about learn from reality. The agents in New York City were really upset with him because he wasn't speaking out. Now, this is going years back, 3 years ago, maybe 4. He wasn't speaking out. He wasn't getting on camera. He wasn't on these news channels. And they're like, the world needs to hear from you. America needs to hear from you. And we need you to step up for us. That's what the agents were saying. So learn from reality, boy, and collaborate without ego. He got on point, and he didn't just get on point. He would rehearse those speeches with agents in the room to make sure he was confident in what he was going to say. He did his homework before he got in front of the camera, and it really has paid off, and it's paying off big time.
I can tell you, Robert was not always a good speaker.
Right, agreed.
This is a learned thing, but everybody always thinks that you look at somebody else and say, oh, but they have that talent that I don't have.
Right.
Whatever that talent is. Most people have just average talents. Is the ones who work at developing their talents that are really good, right? And right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's true. I mean, you have a nice voice, but you have to train it.
Exactly.
I mean, you wouldn't be the singer you are today if you didn't work at it, right? And it's the same with being an agent. So,
I remember I was in one of those meetings one day where he was trying out a speech, and he's like, "I want your honest opinion." I was like, well, "Listen, dude, I was an actor, and the way he would speak at that time in public was the way Obama used to speak. He would go, well, I was thinking about maybe we would go in." And it was like, pause, pause, pause. And he's like, "I do not do that." We were all like, "Yes, you do." And so he learned to take a deep breath and say the whole sentence, say his whole thought at one time. So it was all of us collaborating, helping him. And I mean, but he took it and he owned it. And Zillow is just one thing that he has done. Let's go back to the beginning when there was no platform, when there was just the promise of the thought of trying to build something and the foresight. And I just thought that was brilliant. When I joined, I was scared because it was still considered a startup. But it was from the wonderful people that I had worked with over the years, the big agents that were in the home office, that I said, let me go ahead and take a leap of faith. If they're there, I should be there, right? So let's get back to you. I want to talk about not just what you're doing, what we're doing with Zillow. Let's talk about what you're doing with Compass Plus, because that has been your baby, and it hasn't just been born yesterday. No. It was born quite a while back.
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half ago.
Well, almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
This month is when I got my Certified Senior Advisor credential.
Okay.
So.
But the thought started before that.
Yeah. Well, so what happened? So let me.
Yeah.
So I know we have some staff people here, and we have some agents, and I'm really glad to see some of the support people here, because the Compass Plus agents need your help to do what they do. So Compass Plus is a division within Compass serving seniors in transition. So what do we mean by seniors in transition? They just can't live in their current home anymore. It's too big, maybe it's too remote, maybe there's stairs, whatever it is, they're just not going to be able to stay there anymore. Sometimes they're moving in with family, maybe they're downsizing. A lot of them are moving into assisted living communities of one kind or another. And of course in Florida, well, the biggest concentration of Compass Plus agents is in Florida already. So I don't know how many we have in Fort Lauderdale, but I was here last year, and many people joined and are getting their CSA. So I think the biggest misconception about Compass Plus is people assume that we're all seniors just because I am, but we're not. You can be any age to be a Compass Plus agent helping seniors transition. And a lot of times your contact point with a senior is to a family member. Because the demographics, we're talking about learning from reality, the reality has to affect how we respond to it. And the reality is that most seniors do not live near their families. Many seniors are very, very far away from their families. So, you may have people living down here and they're saying to you, my mom lives in New York, I'd like to move her down here. So, and usually there's one person in the family that's kind of the point person to help mom out. And it's usually an adult daughter who has kids of her own. And so she's in the sandwich generation. And there's no room in her house to move mom in, And when I keep on saying mom, because we're outliving you guys.
Yeah, I know it.
There are more women than men that are aging. But also, all of us, men and women, are living to longer old ages. So, as I said, I just turned 80. 80 used to be very, very old. It's not, I am a young 80-year-old, but I'm not that unusual. I have a lot of friends like me. My business partner, she's 77, and we both still working full time. So that's good news on one hand, but on the other hand, as people age to older ages and start having mobility issues, and many people have cognitive issues, dementia, Alzheimer's, all that, then they have more years where they need assistance when they're still alive. And that can be very expensive. So for most people, the way they fund that next stage of their life is by selling their current home. And that's where we come in. And it's very important. It's really important work. And it's important to do it very ethically and very mindfully, because one of the saddest things I think in our society is how seniors are treated. At best they're just ignored and discounted. At worst we see scamming and even abuse, even physical abuse. We see, unfortunately, some very bad things. But we also see some wonderful things, some families who love their elders and want to help them, but who don't know what to do. And a lot of times people say, well, okay, I'm going to move my mom or grandmother in or whatever to the house, but you don't have the skill for it, and you don't have the bandwidth for it. And one of the things that I've learned over time, because, there's this whole, what I started to call over the years, a romantic notion about aging in place. I want to age in my own home. That sounds great, right? But how great is it if you can't leave the house, if all of your friends have gone, if you're living there with a caretaker who is not somebody you'd have chosen to have as a roommate necessarily. They could be a good person. Sometimes they're not so good. We really have a range of what happens there. And the other thing that I've learned as part of working on this is that cognitive decline is associated with isolation. So if you're living home and you're living alone and your only companion is somebody who's a paid companion that's just there to take care of your physical needs, if you have early dementia, it doesn't cause dementia, but it makes it accelerate more. And the other thing I've learned, I have my hearing aids in, is because many of us took some time before we decided to get the hearing aid, and that makes dementia worse if you have bad hearing. Same thing as isolation. There's parts of the brain that need to get stimulated, and if they don't, it's like you use it or lose it kind of thing. So when we find that people move into some of the really wonderful assisted living communities that exist in America today, that they do very, very well. And they have activities, and they have relationships, and they eat right. The other thing is when people live home alone, they don't eat right. So either they overeat or they don't eat enough. We see a lot of associated problems like alcoholism with people who are living home alone. All they're doing is watching TV all day long and eating and drinking, and maybe they're watching too much of the news and they're getting very anxious. It's good to be around people. So the assisted living communities that exist today are not like we say your grandmother's nursing home. It's a whole different, almost different mission. And I think it's a lot of it's based on the increased demands of my generation. I'm a boomer, right? And we always wanted things that other people didn't want before us. You know, we made a lot of changes in the society everywhere along the line, and now that we're aging, we're saying, wait, what do you mean? What kind of food? You're not going to give me that cafeteria style food. I want organic vegetables. And you know, I want exercise and all that. So there's a building boom in all these communities, and a lot in Florida, but the really good ones are really expensive. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're really expensive. So again, the sale of the home becomes a really important thing. So we have some wonderful things to help us stand out in working with seniors. One is Compass Plus is the only division in any real estate company that I know of that's dedicated towards working with seniors. Okay, we're the first ones doing it. The others, as they always have with Compass, will copy us down the road, but they'll never catch up, just like they never catch up with any of our stuff. You know, I always say this is my description of our histories. First, they laughed at us and said that we weren't going to last 1 year, then we weren't going to last 3 years, then we weren't going to last 5 years. So first they laughed at us, then they sued us, you know, because people left them to come to us, and then they sue us, and then they a lot of them joined us, and then they ran PR campaigns against us, the companies. And then they decide to copy us, but it's too late because we're years ahead, especially in our technology. So that's the same thing that's happening with Compass Plus. It was interesting. I went to, so CSA is the Society of Certified Senior Advisors. And in order to be a Compass Plus agent, one of our requirements, one of our requirements is that you get your CSA. And we get good discounts from CSA. And, we're really very tightly connected to them. So we went to the CSA conference in Baltimore, and these Keller Williams agents, three women came up to us, and they started telling us that Keller Williams has some division for seniors too. So I said, oh great, you know, I'm never going to denigrate another company. It became clear it's not what we're doing. They have something, but they have no real requirements and all that. But, you know, I was very, friendly. I tried to be really nice. Turns out two of those people have already joined Compass. They didn't tell each other. They each came up to us separately later and said, well, we're really not doing all the stuff you're doing. So,
but the class is not easy. It's a lot of hours.
No, the CSA, so I got mine 2 years ago, right around this time. It's a serious class. It is not, some people have gone the SRES, which is the real estate version of, learning how to work with seniors. It's nowhere near as comprehensive. It's really more of a designation and not a credential. There's no testing required on the level. The CSA, studying for it, I would consider it to be on the level of getting your state license. It's that kind of study and exam. And it's not a real estate class, so it's about aging in America. It's really a survey course on aging in America. Medical issues, financial issues, legal issues. There's a whole book on the VA system. I knew nothing about the VA system. I still don't have any veterans I'm working with, but at least now I know where to look if I have one, because it's a whole different set of rules. Medicare, of course, all that stuff. And everybody who took it was a bit resistant at first, and I was so happy they took it, because first of all, you really have some credibility once you've done that, but more importantly, you have some knowledge. Because I will tell you that working with seniors is, I would like to say, it's not glamorous work, it's not easy work, you have to have a lot of patience for it. The rewards are huge in terms of emotional rewards, not so huge sometimes in terms of financial, because it depends how expensive the home is you're going to sell, right? But a lot of seniors, when we sell their home, we all know a home sells better when somebody moves and we get to fix it up, right? So we have to get them out. How are we going to get them out, right? So we have Compass Concierge that's going to help us fix up the home, and that's wonderful. Compass Concierge, we've been having discussions. I started this about half a year ago. Compass concierges now, you can apply to pay for the first few months of assisted living.
That's huge, because that can be expensive.
It's very expensive, and that's how we can get them. It'll pay for the move manager, and for and the fees to move in, and for a few months.
And everybody understands it's expensive to move, right?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
expensive, especially when you're dealing with somebody that's in medical care and they have to go to a specific facility. Knowing the prices of those facilities is another campaign that goes along with one of these agents that has been certified. Knowing how to help the family find the right place at the right price.
So one of the first questions you want to ask is if they have long-term care insurance. So long-term care insurance, this is all these things you learn over time. Long-term care insurance, if I'm at home and I need long-term care, my insurance will pay for a caretaker to come in and take care of me. It won't pay for my rent or for my mortgage. However, if I'm getting that same care in an assisted living community, it'll pay for the cost of my housing as well as the care. Ding, 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 right? That's a lot of money. And the kind of long-term care policies I have and the seniors you'll be working with today have, you cannot buy them anymore. They're not on the market. They were too good, basically. And the insurance companies don't sell them anymore, but you still should get long-term care insurance, I'll tell you this, because whatever you have, it's gonna be better. But for instance, I have a policy, and most of the seniors I work with have a policy that have a cost of living benefit increase every year, right? So I bought my policy 35 years ago, and my daily benefit amount was $100 a day, which back then was plenty, which now is nothing. Now you do it on your calculators, compound $100 a day by 5% over 35 years, multiplied by 31, and my monthly benefit is $17,500 now. It was $3,000 back then. So I have all I need if I move into assisted living. I'm moving into independent living.
Tell me about it.
I am moving into senior housing in February.
Where?
In Tribeca.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Good.
And it was,
Tribeca's fierce.
yeah, I'm moving into a great neighborhood, Riverviews. So I'm fortunate at this age that I don't need assisted living. And I wasn't looking for something, but Robert wanted me to move downtown. They live in Tribeca. So I'm looking at rentals downtown, and sure enough, there's an independent living 55 plus community there. And with what are the benefits? It's very much more expensive than an apartment. But I'm going to get my meals. I'm going to get, there's a doctor's office in the building. There's pull chains in every room. I'll be safer. They have events. They have, I'm still working full time, so I'm not going to take advantage of it yet because I'll be too busy. But over time, I'll be able to do stuff there. I got to tell you, he's going to love this. The clincher, guess whose apartment I'm moving into?
Stop it. Who?
So the last resident there, she died in February, Roberta Flack.
Stop it. She was a friend of mine. I worked with her for years, yes. I got to sing in her apartment with her grand piano, and she even signed, my sister was a beauty queen in college, and she sang Killing Me Softly. She said, bring me that music, that sheet music. And she signed it for her. She's a lovely lady.
Well,
lovely. That
I've
gives me chill bumps.
already promised her to play her music.
Yeah.
So I have the nicest place in the building. I have a river view and a balcony and everything, and they're renovating the whole building.
Yeah.
So this used to be a different facility, but now it's Sunrise. So I go in, I'm looking around, and there's wall-to-wall carpeting that's kind of tacky that they're going to be taking up, but you can see the imprint of the grand piano feet on the carpet.
Love it.
And a whiteboard with writing saying, do not place objects on the piano.
Yes.
Which I took a picture of. So, I'm saying this not just to tell you all where I'm living, but the fact is that a lot of seniors you meet and their families think that moving into a facility of some kind is the worst thing that can happen. And it's not, it's a wonderful thing. It's just the next stage, and we can really help with that. Now, when I say help, I mean to be a real estate agent and not to do everything for them. So the important thing to know when you want to work with seniors is you want to get to know the ecosystem of support professionals that exist in your community to help them. For instance, we talked about a move. So there are specialists, senior move managers that specialize in moving seniors. And when you meet one and you sit there with them, you really see why. They know how to talk and listen and be respectful. And, understand that this is, as I say, this is not clutter, this is my life you're talking about. And you don't just come and say, oh, throw this out, throw that out, You have to respect, what the person's life has been about and be patient and be willing to listen to the same story several times, and not say, gee, you already told me that 7 times, That's, I think, one of the things that as we age, we feel we have so much to offer and nobody wants to hear it,
right.
And, it's, it's sad. I think to me, the saddest clients I work with, it's sad for me, not for them, is the clients have dementia.
Yeah.
And you're in their home, and I'll be in the home of somebody, and you can tell by what's on the wall, the kind of life they've led, and the travel maybe they've done, or the art they've created, or family they've raised, and all that. But they're living in this place alone, and it's decrepit, and they haven't fixed it up because they don't know how long they're going to be there and whatever. And so Compass Concierge, again, no other company has this, It's so great. But I have heard agents want to brag to me about how they do everything. I was in Naples last time I was here, and some agent was bragging to me that she literally comes with a pickup truck to help move people. And I said, don't do that.
That's a liability.
I mean, do you have any idea of the liability that you're creating for yourself? I mean, movers are a licensed, highly regulated industry, and so don't do that. But, and also, we don't do placements. You should, if you're working with seniors, you should know what the facilities, actually they call them communities, but the facilities, where the communities for seniors are like in your area. But you do not know which is the right one for your client. So there's a few different resources. Last time I was here, I introduced the people who came to Cynthia Berthews. She's part of a nationwide franchise called Senior Care Authority. And they do placements, but that's only one. There's all sorts of businesses like that. They're called senior care advisors, senior care counselors. I've also, and the way they get paid, and this is something you should know about. So these communities, the assisted living communities, pay commission to the person who brings the senior to them. So they'll pay you a commission, usually about a month's rent. I don't take that commission. I'm not happy taking it because what if something goes wrong and I don't feel like I'm qualified to really place somebody. But I'm kind of pretty strict about commissions anyway. I mean, referrals anyway. I don't take money for referrals I give out of any kind. Because I feel like with my luck, something's going to go wrong. You know what I mean? And then they're going to say to me, did you get paid for giving me that name? And I'm going to have to say yes. So, but it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to divulge it if you do it. But I wasn't comfortable doing that. So what happens is that these senior care advisors, they get paid that way. So they're not charging the senior. Mm-hmm. So there's pluses and minuses to that, because then they do have an incentive to push somebody into certain places. But most of them are pretty good. The thing is, and I didn't know this when I was here last time, they're not licensed.
They're not licensed.
They're not licensed.
So there's no regulation there.
There's no regulation of that of senior care counselors, advisors, whatever they are. Some of them are more serious, so they may have their CSA, or may have done some studies, some haven't. So recently I met somebody who's a gerontological social worker. She does placements, but not on a commission basis. She charges an hourly rate to her clients, so that's a whole other way to go. If you want to work with seniors, you need to know who's doing what in your community and get to know them. And every community has groups of professionals that are networking to work with seniors. In our area, there's one called Orion. You go there, you meet all the different people. You'll meet more guys are trying to sell reverse mortgages than you ever want to meet in your life, but you also meet other professions there as well. So that's a good way to go. But also when you get your CSA and you join the Society of Certified Senior Advisors, they have leadership networks, CSA leadership networks around the country. And I know that there are some in Florida, but they're also looking to have more started in Florida. That program of theirs kind of went dormant for a while, and now they're trying to beef it up. So we just started a chapter in New York, and so that's something I can help you key into and give you the names of who to talk to. And that's a good, because there are people there, they're already CSA, so you know that they've gotten the education and they're serious about the work. They're not just in for the money. So I haven't even looked at any of my notes.
Well, Ruth, I have a question that I'd like to
Yes.
ask. I mean, focusing on the agents that are in the room,
Yes.
agents that are already working with you, the agent that is helping that elderly person is dealing primarily with the family. And here again is another operation that just folds right into everything we have, which is about building a network and referrals.
Yes.
Like you said, sometimes the parent doesn't even live near their kids.
Yes.
Right, so there's that opportunity as well.
address that
Please
a little
do,
bit?
yeah.
So first of all, Compass Plus is an incredible network. We're giving each other business. I mean, I've got 2 deals I'm working on right now that were referred to me by Compass Plus agents. Their family, their own family, much, but also, so it's a tremendous referral network. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that people aren't living close to their families is a problem. It's also an opportunity for us. And I always tell everybody to ask 2 questions of everybody you know. I call them Ruth's 2 questions. How are your parents doing? Or you might say, how are your grandparents doing if it's a younger person? Second question, where do they live? And then you shut up. That's the hard part for a real estate agent, right? To shut up, right? And let them talk. And what will come out is the stories and the love and maybe some resentments and fears. But the main thing you're going to hear is a lot of guilt. I know I should let my mom move into our house, but I don't have the room and I don't think I can take care of her. Or, whatever, So there's a lot of fear, a lot of guilt. And we are in position to say, look, I can help you find somebody who can help your mom where she lives. And who is a certified senior advisor, and we refer to other people who are professionals to help her with the process. And we can monitor it from down here. And basically, we are dealing both with the family and with the senior themselves. And that whole relationship, a lot depends on the cognitive abilities of that parent, and I said before, there's usually a lead person in the family that's most involved and does most of the work, and then there's the other sibling who has a lot of opinions. That once you get
No, siblings have opinions? Never.
Yeah, you get your whole plan worked out, and then, this happened, and then the sister from Massachusetts comes barging in and, and upsets everybody, and this is one family in which really some bad decisions were made. I mean, the mom's okay now, but they moved her around too much. It was not good.
May I ask a question?
Oh, please.
Questions, yes.
So, one of the things that we talked about in South Florida is we have the boomer generation that's kind of left, and then the kids of the boomers. And we never liked the word seniors.
Uh-huh.
And so they started saying, how about using active adult?
Older adults, active adults.
You're an active adult.
Yes.
Well, you're an active, we're all adults here in this room.
But we need to start planning it, because you guys had a great retirement. You had the good long-term cares. We're not going to get that.
But you should get what you can get.
Yes.
Honestly, it's the best investment.
So,
I'll tell you something, I use the word seniors.
I know.
I'm not one for euphemisms, I've earned it. I'm 80, what the hell,
Yeah. Some developers have come to us and said, what should we build? What should we call it? Instead of calling it a senior facility, call it an active adult facility.
Well, they call it, they call it, they don't call it a facility, they call it an
Yes.
older adult community.
Community, there you go.
But actually, the one thing that's true about that is I do find that the good ones are really our communities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In that sense. But Yeah, I mean, people sometimes say to me, I shouldn't say seniors. I say, well, don't tell a senior what to tell ourselves, you know.
I just want
Tony.
to say, like, it's so amazing because my mom's 87, she's turning 88. I think no one teaches us how to get old or how to take care of parents as they get older, right? And no one's really planning most of this stuff. And the fact that you're taking the lead with this, but also showing what active 80 years old looks like, right? I keep looking forward and saying, who are the people that can be the inspiration for what 80 can look like for me, or 85 can look like for me? And I think what I see with my mom is that loneliness is the worst thing for any older person. It's bad enough when you're our age, but as you get older, so many are left with their devices or their TV because so many people have passed, right?
Yes.
And so that sense of community becomes about rebuilding. I mean, I'm 61, but I can see how many of my friends, we've talked about how many of my friends have left New York and moved. So even if they're alive, they're not in this, your same group of friends are not there anymore.
Yeah.
And then how do you progress and build, and how do you be sensitive to creating that next step of being that family? Understanding all these nuances are so important, right? To help a family through this, as you said, there's always the one who has their own opinions, but may not have a cent to give to it, but they're gonna have an opinion because of it, right? Or they were the ones who took care of them. So now they're gonna have an opinion, even though they're not funding it. But what has been the biggest gift to you from doing the work that you're doing like this?
It's made me less scared of aging. You know, knowledge is always power, you know, and, you know, I feel like I'm lucky to get old. And the fact is that you're all gonna be older tomorrow. And you have two choices. You're gonna get older, the other choice is not gonna be around, you know. Yeah. And the thing is, you know, when you talk about active at my age and all, I'm very fortunate because I'm physically mobile, you know, and there's some people just, you can see somebody aging a lot just when they have some kind of medical issue. But there's some things you can't control, there's a whole lot you can control in life. And I find, you know, I agree with you about the loneliness, and I don't get lonely because I'm a real estate agent. You know, I want to get away from people half the time, right? You know, it's like, hey, can I have a moment without anybody wanting anything from me, right? So I made that choice to continue working. I retired 3 times in my life, and each time I got fatter, and I got angrier, and certainly lonely, and much more anxious because I was watching too much news. The news is not good for your mental health. You know, watching bad stuff you can't do anything about, right? But friendships and retaining those friendships is so important, and yet that gets lost because people die, people move, and all that. You know, I do know that the people my age that I know that are the happiest and healthiest are still working. You know?
Yeah. Other questions?
Please.
Anybody have aging parents or grandparents that,
So I, on Thanksgiving Day, my aunt called me from, well, she lived in Milwaukee, and she'd had a stroke earlier this year, and she's 80 years old, and I've been trying to get in contact with her, and, you know, I knew her son had moved her from Milwaukee back to the suburbs of Detroit, and she called me on Thanksgiving, and I popped up, and I'm like, Aunt Helen, I've been calling you, and she's like, yeah, I know we've been playing phone tag. She's like, I am in this amazing assisted living community, and they have so much for me to do here.
She's too busy to call
I'm
you.
busy all day, and she said I had a whole list, and you were at the top of my list to call today. And she just sounded amazing just talking to her. And, you know, I'm like, well, how are you doing, you know, with this? She's like, oh, girl, I'm fine. I just have a little walker that I walk with. And she's like, I'm about to get rid of this thing because I got a lot to do. And she was a realtor in Milwaukee as well. And she stopped working probably about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But she worked for Shore West there. And she just sounds so good, and like she was so happy because she said her son lives about 10 minutes away, and so it's great. So that's why it's so, you know, good to hear you speak about, you know, Compass Cares, Compass Plus, I'm sorry.
Compass Plus. Yeah, people call us Compass Plus 1, they call us Compass Plus.
Agent Detachable. Yeah, right.
Well, it's all
Compass Plus,
it's
yeah.
all Compass. Yeah, you know, the negative perceptions of what it's like to move into a community of that kind is also affects, you know, the kids start feeling guilty, like, you know, and guilt is not a very helpful emotion in the best of times, you know, that kind of thing. But I'll tell you, from the agent point of view, when you talk about working with a family, I think I would want to give a note of caution, because I think that it's a trap that we all fall into as we get involved in the family dynamics. You get pulled in, and you know, the dynamics that are going on, been going on for decades, and there's nothing you could do about that, you know. So you, and I keep on having to say to agents, who's your client? Who's your client? It's the senior. It's not this sister or that sister. And sooner or later, you're going to hear one child say to the other, well, she always loved you more than she loved me, you know, or something like that. You know, and they sound like they're 12 years old, right? So you can't get sucked into that. And, you know, I think that the worst disease of old age is denial. Denial.
Can you give us some examples that you've seen?
People waiting too long to get the help they need because they don't recognize that they're getting limitations that they're going to have to deal with. Family not wanting to accept that the person they always looked up to, they went to advice, has dementia.
Yeah.
Just, you know, you'll talk to somebody who's living at home and you can see that they're struggling, and they'll say, I'm fine for now. And you have to find a tactful say, yeah, but what about tomorrow? You're only going in one direction here. We're not going to age backwards.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of times you'll hear people say, oh no, I'm fine where I am. And, you know, the way to have things go well is to plan and to face it and to make plans for it, rather than waiting. The worst time to look for an assisted living community is when you have to.
Yeah.
And when, you know, you've had a fall, you're in rehab, you can't go home, and somebody else chooses for you. So that's a bad situation I was just mentioning to you. Somehow the family decided you should move out to be in a community near her niece in Sacramento. Does anybody know Sacramento area, California?
Really?
Okay, so this is a Manhattan Jewish woman, sophisticated, you know, liberal politics,
Yeah.
the whole thing, moving to what is basically redneck country, you know. And of course she was miserable, you know. There was nobody there for her to talk to, so now they bring her back to New York. That whole trip back and forth, her dementia got worse. She slid downhill. So by the time she was in the facility she's in now, she called me up one day and said, they moved me in here without a change of clothes. And I said, that's not possible.
Right.
I said, open the closet, see what's in there. She said, there's no closet here. I said, oh, really? Where are you sitting? I'm sitting on my bed. I said, how many doors do you see? I figured she'd have to have at least 3 doors, to the bathroom, to the rest of the apartment, and to the closet. And sure enough, I said, open each door. And she opened the door, and of course it was full of clothes. And I felt so sad because I had met her when she knew where her closet was.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and a year before they did anything for her is when I met her, and she was ready to move, but her family wasn't accepting it.
Sure.
And so they waited a year. So now she's living someplace where she can't even find the closet. She thought she was living in a hotel, and then room service doesn't bring her food. You know, it was just very, very sad for me. And by the way, an hour after she told me she couldn't find the closet, she called me up to tell me she was really concerned about renewing her subscription to the ballet.
Wow.
And she wanted me to do that for her.
Wow.
You know, so, you know,
Yeah.
it's sad.
Yeah.
But you have better, you know, with this in life, and you're all business people, you have better outcomes when you plan, and you don't plan for the best, you plan for every eventuality or that you can consider. And getting older is, unless you're going to die, you're going to get older. So it's
Yeah.
not a guess, oh, I might get older, you know. you know, that kind of thing. So that's what I meant by denial.
Well, I think maybe we should address, because the time is coming close, we should address, what if somebody wants to get involved, what do they have to do? Or what if they want to refer someone to you, how should they reach out?
Thank you. So, okay, so Compass Plus is obviously it's open to all Compass agents. I do discourage anybody who's brand new in the business, like in their first year or two. I think you should wait because it's slower moving business. And I never want somebody desperate for commission working with a senior, you know, because you have to be patient. I would tell team leaders, and it's more time consuming, so I don't think it's a good thing if you're leading a big team, but I think every big team should have a Compass Plus agent on it. Okay, so to join, we have a website. God, and I don't remember the name of it. Just email me if you want to join. I'll refer you to the website. But so you can join without getting your CSA. So we have about 1,400 members as of now.
I remember when it just started.
I remember it just started. But we only have a few hundred that are already CSAs. A lot of people are in process of taking classes. But then we have what we call, you know, our certified agents and member agents, and they still attend educational meetings and all that kind of stuff. And then when they have the time and they're ready, they take their CSA. There's $500 a year dues, and some of what you get for that is we have a website. The website includes a geographic directory, so you get referrals that way. There's education, there's our meetings and our referrals to each other, but we're also, you don't know about this yet, we're also developing some relationships with companies that are going to be giving us referrals, including Senior Lead.
Great. Go girl.
So,
yes.
Senior Lead's a web. Yep.
Compass Plus
Yeah, thank you.
Seniors.com.
Yeah.
That's
You can also
CompassPlusSeniors.com.
just Google Compass Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a form you can fill out there if you want to join. So we're going to end up with at least 2, maybe 3 different companies that are going to refer in. So these are companies that some of them work with assisted living communities and other kinds of things that they're doing. And so we pay them a referral fee, but they're going to only charge us when we charge each other, 25%. They were charging a lot more through the other situations.
Okay.
So we did real well there. So, you know, we're really building this out, you know. We have a board, and, you know, we're got fairly well formed now, and we have enough money to do some of the stuff we want to do. We're very excited about. Our whole communication system, do any of you guys involved with CRM Refresh? Steve Littman?
It's a great course.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Great course.
So how's your CRM doing? It's smooth as can be, you're using it optimally, no problems, no duplications,
All the time.
everything's perfect, right?
Daily.
Every one of us,
So I
I'm
wish,
sure.
yeah.
No problems, and you're sending stuff out, using it
I
optimally.
wake up and it sends stuff for
So,
me.
so CRM Refresh is, it's a company that works with Compass agents and optimizing their CRM. So we've hired them for our CRM at Compass Plus, and we have a newsletter that they help us put out every year. So we really developed quite a big organization. In terms of giving referrals, of course, I'm open for referrals all the time in New York. Any senior that you think needs help in New York, I would love to hear from you. And we pay the same referral fees, you know, as we do, you know, in other situations. And we have a lot of referrals to give out. I give out a lot of referrals around the country because a lot of people contact us. So if you do join Compass Plus, make sure I know who you are. I get to know you. Come to the meetings. We are planning, last year we launched the retreat. We're hoping to do a half-day mini retreat before the retreat of Compass Plus.
And would that be online or would that be on site somewhere?
In New Orleans.
In New Orleans, ahead of time.
Hey, everybody comes a day ahead.
That's
don't
right.
they?
You got to go a day ahead.
You
If
have
you're
to
going
go
to
a
the
day
retreat, go at least one day ahead. Usually people
Who's
might go
going to New
2 or 3
Orleans?
days ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, see you
We'll be
there.
there.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun if you can go. You can make some great connections.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Well, do we have some more questions
Yeah,
before we
please.
finish up? I mean, she's going to hang out for a bit.
I'm coming to your party tonight. so-
And she'll be at the party.
Yeah.
I would like to say thank you so much for thinking about creating Compass
more than the referral partners and everything, it's also creating the awareness, like you said, educating agents on what they can bring to their clients, but also what they can apply to their lives.
Yes.
I myself have learned a lot. My 92-year-old mother lives with me, so I know how hard it can be at times. And I think that some of our agents, we have one team in our Weston office who is CSA certified and I think sits on the board of Compass Plus. His name is Michael Zioli. You know, has so much, told me that has learned so much from you. So thank you for creating the awareness and telling our agents how they can even provide more value to their customers.
Yeah, well, you know, thank you for that. And, you know, it's true that it's starting to be known out there. And since everybody's getting older, you know, people are interested in this and concerned about it. And it is, I think, helping the reputation of our company. By the way, it's also helping us a little bit in the whole lawsuit thing, because private exclusives is really important when you're working with seniors. For one thing, if I'm living alone in my house, I know I have to move, I may not want my neighbors to know that I'm moving, that, you know, it can affect my security, it can affect a lot of different things. And also, these homes all need help. I've not seen a seniors home that we could sell the way it looks when I first see it. So having that private exclusive, getting it pre-marketed is really, really helpful. And look, like I said, it's slow-moving work. It's really a mission. Our motto at Compass is mission before commission. And I always like to say, I'm not saying no commission. We all work for a living and we should get paid for our work. But you know, this is, I don't like to think of it as this niche that everybody's going to cash in on, the silver waves coming, all that. No, you have to care about these people because it really is a mission. But you can also, you know, by the way, seniors refer each other to you as well. So you can really do well doing this work. Tony?
This is more of a thought that came up from listening to this conversation, which I'm appreciative of, not a self-plug, but in the last year I've worked, in the last 2 years, year and a half, I've worked with 2 estates. One was a senior, a parent who passed away, Upper East Side, 2-bedroom, a referral from California. They said it's too low for you, it's only 1.2. But we started talking to, it had been a mother who had passed 10 years ago, now the brother was living there, now he had been moved to Florida. And they said, go look at it. And it was pretty much a wreck. It hadn't been touched since, you know, 1975. The person had been living there and had some dementia, so everything was just kind of falling apart. And everyone came in and told them, you can get $900,000, don't waste your time, it's a gut job. And we came in and looked at it, and I spent an hour and a half and came up with a whole list of everything we could do. We ended up getting the brother who was still, like, you know, he had been a former lawyer, he was 80-something years old. We basically, long distance, worked with him, got a $100,000 budget approved, renovated the apartment over the course of 2 months and sold it for $125 in 45 days.
Wow.
And there was, and then one of the executor was him and then his mother's rabbi, and he was at odds with the rabbi. So it was, you know, like, he'd have one conversation with us, and I'm like, listen, everything has to be on the table. We're not doing anything behind the scenes. To your point, don't get caught up. I think as caretakers, it's very easy for us to want to feel like a bit of a hero. It's self-serving in a way because we get to be the hero, right? We're going to solve the psychological problems. And then it's like, no, like, be the advisor. Don't get emotionally involved. Don't get played by the other one. And we did that a year ago. We met another couple that we had done this for someone moving to Virginia. They referred us, and it was actually 2 sisters, and their parents had just gone into assisted living in New York. And again, it was, we can do it as is, or we can do it this way, and then guiding them through that process. But then also giving them the permission to feel the emotions of saying goodbye to their childhood home, because they'd grown up in this place, and giving them the time to pack things up and let them know this is an emotion process. It's not going to be you just, you know, but then ultimately getting them almost $500,000 more than we initially thought by doing the cleanup.
Well, Ruth is going to stick around and take photos and answer more questions, and she's also going to be at the party at 6 o'clock tonight. But let's give her a big round of applause.
I know, it's going to party.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, my love.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Always, always. Thank you.